All right, shooters, draw to a low ready. You have 2 seconds to shoot 3 shots from the beep. Are we ready?
Yes.
Stand by.
Sorry.
Oh,
I had it in my head 2 shots after you said that.
well, you got 1 over now, Nat.
Oh,
So.
no.
Ah. Am I reading that right? Is that still 146? Because that was way,
No,
that
shot
was her.
1.71.
Yeah. But shot, that was the last shot. You're in time. You're at 146. Okay, so you made it in time. I was like, what are you doing? Shoot. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Neil and Chris and Natalie, and we're doing the second phase of the
5-yard FBI qualification.
Lucky Gunner is my recommended trusted provider of freedom seeds for range or defensive use. In stock, good prices, and rocket fast shipping are why I go back again and again. Because of new guidelines, I can't link their site or say it, but you're smart and you can find it with a simple Google search. Stick it to the man by paying them a visit today.
So for today's lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the second portion of phase 2, or the second stage of the FBI qualification, which is from a low ready, just pop up and shoot 3 shots in 2 seconds. And
From
we're gonna
5 yards.
From 5 yards. And we're going to just basically talk about the challenges with that, the things to think about as you go to the range and practice that. Going to give you a little bit of homework so you can go to the range and work on that, and just talk through this. And then we're going to shoot it again here in a little bit and see if we can push it a little bit and maybe you not have that trigger freeze.
Yeah, got buck fever.
What happened?
So I drew my gun and we had talked about, 2 seconds for 3 shots.
Oh, so you just had in your head.
Yeah,
2.
I was like, okay, bang, bang, 2 is done. 3. So I shot at the last second, but I made it.
Yeah, you made it. So the beauty here is with gun in hand at 5 yards, it's a generous, the FBI qualification target is a generous target. An A zone at 5 yards is pretty generous once your gun's in it. If you take the holster out of it, and life gets a whole lot easier, doesn't it? Yep. So let's just talk a little bit about what are you thinking about, other than the fact that you got the wrong amount of shots. But you take that out of it, because we've all done that. If you haven't been there, then you haven't taken enough classes. So zip it. But if you've all been there, I know you have, right? So what are we thinking about as the beep goes? What's our point of aim? What's our reference point on the gun? Talk about that a little bit.
Right. The main thing that I was noticing is trying to get my dot not to overcorrect and go way up, you know, because that's an issue that I have. Is I'll be ready down here and I'll see my dot and I'll be ready, and then as soon as I bring it up, it's gone because I bring it up just a little bit too fast, and I can find it very quickly, but that's just a crutch that I gotta figure out. So
how about you, Chris?
Yeah, mine's a very similar thing. So I don't normally perform as well with ready as most people would anticipate, because I'm used to drawing. And when I'm drawing, this is how my gun comes out. When I'm going from ready, that's how and it's different. And I don't practice it as much. So I worry about stability of the gun coming up. So getting it where I want it to be before I send the first shot. Once the first shot's out and the gun's acting the way I want it to act, it's not really an issue. Right. That first ready shot, I got to control myself. There's an impulse thing for me, because I have a tendency to, exactly what she said, overshoot high. Yep. And then be like, ooh, now you've got to fix things.
Yep. And I think that plays the other way too. A lot of folks, because we all practice the draw to first shot. That's 90% of most people's dry fire, which also is a bit of a challenge. We'll probably talk about that in a whole nother video. There's so much more we can work on in dry fire. But if we are doing nothing but draw to first shot, that's a different motion, because our hands are coming up and pressing out versus down here and coming up.
We're going from like a circle to
and so it's backwards essentially. And so what I'll typically see, and you'll see it in classes, and you guys may have seen it as well, is when there's a low ready, either the shot is low or high, because it's a timing issue.
Correct.
And low ready, the secret, especially if you have a dot, is and of course everybody complains about our low ready, right? Everybody's like, well, that's the highest low ready I've ever seen. the classes, the very first classes that we really started taking as a group, I'm not even going to name it because if you know who they are, you know who they are. And if you don't, it doesn't matter. But the low ready was taught to us at basically the bottom of the cardboard or, at waist high. And so we come out typically right there. That's kind of how we learned. Now, others will complain that it's got to be at a 45-degree angle. The competitive guys, it's got to be lower. They've usually got a cone to aim at, so everybody has the same point of reference. Essentially, I don't care. It's not really that big a deal.
People can argue all day, but let's talk about the reality of it. It's situationally dependent.
Yep.
And if we're training for something to do in the real world, well, that is also situationally dependent.
Yep.
So just getting the motion down, that's up to you. Like I have a little bit lower ready than most, but as long as you're not committing aggravated assault and training yourself to commit aggravated assault.
Yeah. And so I think for a drill to get consistency and get measurement that you can improve on, as long as you're consistent, that's the important thing. And so, we used to do a drill of the month challenge for a while. We did it for about 6 months. And every time we would do that drill, we would have, the starting point is going to be here on the target. That way everybody's the same. And that's really what it is. We're just trying to have a consistency thing.
Right.
Now where I typically go nowadays for low ready is just at the base of the target. That way I'm, if God forbid I have to pull my gun on somebody and I need to be at a low ready to issue commands, the gun's going to be below their feet. So if God forbid the thing goes off or technically now, for the people driving by, they're going to see me with a gun out pointed at a guy. Everybody's going to consider I committed aggravated assault anyway, but at least I'll know in my heart I didn't. And so again, that's a fight for a whole nother video. We've made multiple videos on it, but I'm just asking, please, can we just get over that and leave that alone?
We're shooting a qual.
Yeah, we're shooting a qual. and the gist here is that this is really a timing challenge because we have our gun out, we have all the grip that we need before I even say shoot. When I say shooter ready, we have confirmed the grip is everything, and then really all it is bring it up and shoot 3 times. Now you have to manage some recoil in there. You have to be able to track your sights and all of that. But I mean, you did that with the draw last week when we draw and fire 3, and you'll do that for every other one. You're always managing recoil, and so that lesson carries over every single time.
So here's the one thing, especially when we're any of these in the qualification where you're from ready, you can get all the grip you need before the timer goes off. So it's not, for me at least, it's not that it's quicker because the gun's out. I've established everything I need to establish. So I'm just moving the gun in position and pulling the trigger versus establishing all of that from the draw.
Right.
So hence why I practice the draw a lot more, because I have more opportunities for failure or a broken grip. Where from ready, okay, get your stuff together. The gun's out.
The gun's out.
Take care of it.
I'm ready to go.
Right.
We've made a lot of videos, and I don't think we need to beat this horse too much longer. But from a low ready to an A zone, you can do that in about 0.4. That's why for the quals, when you're starting from a ready or a low ready, the time has dropped so much significantly because if you watched last week's video, it was draw and fire 3 in 3 seconds. Now it was with gun in hand, take the draw out of it, fire 3 in 3 seconds. And we took a full second off that, knocked a third of the time out. Just simply because with all of that grip already done, all we got to do is raise the gun, see our sights, and hit the target. And at 5 yards, again, it's a very forgiving target. So you guys want to shoot it again, and then we'll do some homework?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Got your 5 yard mark, Natalie?
All right.
Right back here.
Natalie, we're gonna start with low ready.
3.
I am her dad. I get to give her crap.
Well, and in my head I was going 2, 2, 2, 2 the whole time.
3.
3.
1, 2,
3.
Got it. 3. All right, Natalie. Chris, are you ready?
Yeah, we got to draw the low ready.
Yeah. Go ahead and draw the low ready. Do you have 3 in the gun?
Yes.
All right. Stand by. There we go. 161. 161. What happened, Nat?
I got one of them out. I'm not sure which one that was, though.
I think it was your second shot.
Second shot?
Yeah.
Well, let's clarify. That's not out.
Yeah, that's not out.
just not
It's not
to
alpha.
the standard
So-
we want.
Yeah, so Natalie threw 1 into the Charlie. We'll show you here real quick. Okay. Show them there.
So this was the second shot, we believe.
Yep. That was Nat's second shot. And then let's look at Chris's. Chris threw one out the first time, right?
With the draw. So that wasn't,
That was from the draw. So that was the last one. We're using the same targets for all of these. So on Natalie's one over here, now this is still in on a Q target. We know that the Q target is a little more generous than the C zone, and we're using the A's and the C's for this because we don't have any of the Q targets with us here in Kansas. But if you had to guess, what would you say caused that one to go there? Did you see your dot?
Yeah, so I was thinking really hard about how many shots I was needing to shoot. And when I could see my dot, and then I brought it up and the dot was gone. So I was just trusting all of the work that I've done to be able to pull that trigger 3 times and make all of the shots. And I did.
Now,
I was hoping they would be a little bit closer. But
how much of that, though, was you trying to keep up with Chris? How much of that is your competitive nature? Because what we've noticed is you guys are shooting about the same speed all the time. Was it, did you potentially maybe I have to keep up with Chris, so I'm going to let this one go?
I mean, I think a little part of it is that I know that Chris is probably going to make time.
Yep.
So as long as I'm running
one can hope
somewhat near the pace that Chris is at, I'm probably going to be able to make time too.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I do want to clarify that shot is in.
Yeah.
So the other thing to think about for viewers is the accuracy standard that you will hold yourself to. There's the qualification and passing the qualification.
Yep.
And there's the accuracy standard that you want to hold yourself to. That is subjective and completely up to you.
Yep.
So like both of us have a Charlie on board. It bothers me, but a pass is a pass, you know, so I'm not.
And another good lesson to take from that, if you've got one that's still in, but it's not where you'd like it to be, if you don't let that go and you take that now to the next round and then the 7-yard line and then to the 15-yard line, it's just going to get worse. So you've got to learn to be able to let this one go. And I know you're good at it, so that's why I'm giving you a hard time.
No, but that's kind of what I've been doing today while we're working through this stuff is I'm remembering, okay, I have to shoot 3 times,
So now it's a different cognitive load because this isn't a drill we shoot all the time. We don't shoot this very often.
It's been a while.
And so.
And I think a big part of your point is if I'm focused on this during the next iteration,
you're going to put another one right there.
Or I might mess up on something else.
You
know, like I think I'm probably going to fall short in another problem because I'm so focused on trying to make sure that I make it.
Well, and that brings up a good point. What you just said is we shoot what we're looking at. And so if we're focused on this, whether we're looking at it or not, our peripheral sees it, and our brain is giving attention to that, you're going to start seeing your whole pattern move to that direction. And you may put 1, 2, or 3 more through the exact same hole. So got to let those go. And again, it's still in. That's the thing that I think folks miss. Like, wow, it's not a great target anymore. We're shooting a qual, trying to pass the qual. This is still a passing shot. There is no A+ zone on the QAT target.
In or out.
It's in or out. And so, and I don't know, do line breaks count with the FBI? Because they do at my range.
I think it can. I think it's discretion of who's running the qual.
Okay, yeah.
But I think it can't be grease ring. It has to be straight break.
Yeah.
Like it can't be maybe. They're not doing overlays.
Yeah. So, well, cool. Let's talk homework. Go ahead.
So I guess it is kind of a piece of homework, but one other thing that I was noticing is after we had talked about where the low ready is, I couldn't really remember where my consistent low ready is.
Where you want it to be?
Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start at the base of the target. You know, that was, we did kind of learn to go at the base of the target. And I think that might have messed me up a little bit and could be a reason why I kind of lost my dot because I was starting from a place that I decided to start from instead of the place where I start from.
Yep. Yeah. That'll do it to you. So
I think that's a great kind of homework thing. So if we're talking about building skill, what you need to build skill is repetition in kind with what you're doing. So changing things, if you haven't figured out what works best for you and you go to shoot a qualification, the likelihood or probability of having errors because you're not repeating a behavior, you're creating a new behavior.
Yeah.
Now I'm a big fan of being able to, deal with new behaviors at the time and have enough skill to make it work, but understand there's impact, right? Yeah. So that's a big one to kind of think about. If you cannot figure it out in dry and you're trying to do it in live under camera, welcome to the struggle bus. It's going to be a
The
ride.
camera adds a lot. It doesn't only add 10 pounds. It adds about 2 seconds. So, so understand that. Another thing to work on in your live fire of this, talking about low ready specifically, is if you're a dot shooter, typically from the low ready, your periphery can see the dot, right? And you can call it cheating if you want, but you can see the dot. Well, why would you not look at the dot? So I'm not saying stare at your dot and then move it up, because that will mess everything up.
Yeah.
Because you'll get kind of like the turreting effect that we get in transitions. But if I can recognize my dot is there, look at my target, I can still see the red, bring the red up and let it go. And that's essentially eyes then gun, but it's eyes here. Okay, I see it, I got it, I've got all the grip that I want, everything is good in my hand. All right, there's my dot. That's the secret. And you see it, as soon as you cross this line, engage your trigger, because you're rising, and then you can ride the recoil all the way up this target. And with the Q target, you can actually at the bottom line, you can engage. So
that's another reason why I really don't like doing low ready down here, because my gun is aimed in on something that I am not prepared to destroy. The floor right in front of me. When I'm aimed out toward, at least I know that I'm aiming towards a bad guy rather than towards the floor that a kid could run under my peripheral. You know, that's another reason just in my head.
And again, we've beat the low ready horse to death. So
Yay,
sorry,
comments.
horse, R.I.P. but we all have our reasons for what we do, and you do you as long as it's consistent. Do you, because we're just trying to pass this qual. So so you've got some homework. Get to the range. You don't even have to draw.
I've got one thing though.
Oh, perfect.
One thing to practice with ready position. So where the position is doesn't matter much to me. What I would like you to focus on and think about, especially if you're doing this multiple times in a row, is getting your finger off the trigger when you're done and going back to the home position. Because there's a lot of, once the gun's out, people have a tendency to put their fingers on the trigger. I cannot tell you how many people I've talked to where we're in a class and we're from a ready position and they're, I'm gonna get that extra 0.1 by having my finger on the trigger at low ready. That's not the point of low ready.
Right.
Unless the situation dictates it. But if you're in I need trigger right now, well, then that's
something to think about. And there's so much more to this. You can talk about the tension in your trigger finger and loosening things up and all that kind of stuff. That's probably a deeper dive video.
Yeah, but for me, like when we're just doing this, I do like 1, 2, 3, and then back down, and just making sure I'm doing that and building that in. So when the gun's not engaged, the gun's not engaged.
And low ready doesn't include finger on the trigger. So, and we see that all the time. I'm going to have my finger on the trigger because I'm ready. I'm a low ready, so I can pull the trigger right now. No, the finger's high in it, slide. And as we come up, the finger comes down, bang, bang, bang. Life is good.
And just to reiterate, what I will tell you will happen if you're practicing your low ready positions under time, your first shot will be low. Because as you're starting to drive up, you're going to pull the trigger and you're going to send it and you're going to get a miss.
Yeah, you'll go underneath the target completely in a lot of cases. And if you're at a indoor range, you're going to get a visit from the RSO.
They frown upon that.
They don't care for that. So, hey, thanks for joining us. We got more of this to come. I hope you're enjoying this. Get to the range, because at the end of all of this, we have a little contest we're doing. We got some prizes lined up, and all of that is yet to come. So just stay with us, and we're gonna have some fun with this. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Nice shooting, you guys.